Good morning and welcome to the Sun's Up Good Morning podcast, because newspapers are now niche. On today's podcast, we'll be discussing community. What does that mean? Well, we thought that we would go out into the community and ask. But going out into the community, to quote myself, implies that we already know what community is. So, catch-22. The only solution is, I'll go first. Our community is made up of people connected by something shared, whether it be location, interests, history, culture, language, the list goes on. Because of this something in common, we bond and make further connections, strengthening the bond even more. The community allows for open, honest communication and can even provide for the parties involved: events, resources, safety, security, basic human needs. The community looks out for the shared priorities of the people. Since this is a podcast, our community is online. We can pull from our demographics, looking at our targeted audience, then compare that to our listeners to discern who our community is, if we want the more scientific, data-driven response. I like to think that our community is good people who care about people, keeping it simple. But what does someone else think? What do you think? Let's take a look after a short message from our sponsors. Come on down to the local grocery where we'll find fresh produce on sale through the end of the week. Perfect for that New Year's resolution. Iceberg and romaine lettuce, grape and cherry tomatoes. Why not grab a couple bottles of dressings and vinaigrettes and experiment to find a new healthy fave? We'll see you here. Local grocery. Welcome back to the Sun's Up Good Morning podcast, because newspapers are now niche. We reached out to our community to ascertain what community is. Now, I couldn't get them on the podcast, but I will read their online responses. This one is from Anonymous. Community is communio, communion, people coming together, short and sweet. I think communio is Latin, a little bit of culture in that response. Ree from the North says, community is the people on your block, the next block over, and the next block over. Really anywhere you can bike to without having to stretch to save your bum. Nice response. Biking is actually good, healthy exercise too, that gets you out and active in the community. So that's perfect. How many of our listeners are on a bike right now? Outdoors or on a stationary? That's great. Let's see. I think we've got time for one more response. How about Perry from the internet? He says, community is your friends, your family. Community is people, far and wide. Community is people, far and wide. Thanks for your response, Perry. Community is comprised of people. Without you, without the people, I'd be talking to myself alone with no one else to hear. But that makes us mindful to be thankful for what and who we have in our lives today. Good talk today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Sun's Up Good Morning podcast, because newspapers are now niche. Until then,